Hi there. Let's have an honest talk. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything you can just to get someone's attention? Dropping your plans, sacrificing your time, and bending over backward to make them happy? And yet, what happens in the end? You feel ignored, undervalued, or worse, rejected? It's frustrating, isn't it? But let me ask you this. What if making them choose you isn't about them at all? It's about you. Now picture this. You're at a party. There's one person trying way too hard to impress everyone, talking loudly, showing off and demanding attention. And then there's someone else, calm, confident, and simply present. They're not trying, they're just being. Who would you naturally be drawn to? It's the confident one, right? That's the power of self-assuredness and control. In this video, I'm going to show you how to step into your confidence, stand out effortlessly, and become someone they can't help but notice, without pretending to be someone you're not. Here's the truth. You can absolutely be that person, the one others can't help but notice. But it starts with a shift in how you see and value yourself. Let's dive in and see how you can become someone they can't help but choose. First, let's talk about a hard truth. Desperation. Many of us have been there. Over-texting someone because we can't bear the silence, constantly checking our phones, or bending over backward just to get a crumb of attention. Maybe you've rearranged your entire schedule just to be available for them, hoping they'd notice your effort. But here's the kicker. These actions don't make you more attractive. They have the opposite effect. Desperation doesn't draw people in, it pushes them away. Why? Because it screams insecurity. Now imagine this. If someone were constantly texting you, fishing for validation, or trying to please you at every turn, how would you feel? Would you admire them, or would you feel suffocated? The same principle applies in reverse. When you act desperate, you send a signal that you're placing all your worth in someone else's hands, and that's never attractive. Let's reframe this. Think of relationships like a job interview. If a candidate oversells themselves, pleads for a chance, or tries too hard, you doubt their qualifications, right? But confidence? Confidence speaks volumes without trying. The person who knows their worth doesn't beg. They let their actions do the talking. But it's not just about your behavior, it's also about power dynamics. When you constantly give without setting boundaries, you shift the balance of power entirely in their favor. Essentially, you're telling them, I'll do anything to keep you around. And that makes them value you less. People respect what they have to work for, not what's handed to them on a silver platter. So the first step is reclaiming your power by recognizing your own worth. Let's talk about how to do that. Ask yourself this. Why are you so focused on their validation? Why do you feel the need for someone else to tell you you're worthy? The truth is, chasing validation creates a cycle of dependence, a cycle where your self-worth hinges entirely on someone else's opinion. This stops today. It's time to embrace Stoic detachment. Stoic philosophy teaches us to let go of what we cannot control, like someone else's opinion of us. As Epictetus said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Now apply that to your relationships. The less you crave validation, the freer and more powerful you become. It's not about being cold or emotionless. It's about learning to control your emotions rather than being controlled by them. Think about how often you replay conversations or worry about how someone sees you. Now imagine if you channeled that energy into working on a skill, pursuing a passion, or even just enjoying your day. That shift doesn't just free your mind. It also shows others that your life doesn't revolve around them. Here's another way to visualize it. Think of yourself as a lighthouse. A lighthouse doesn't chase ships. It stands firm, steady, and shining. Ships are drawn to it because of its presence and stability. Similarly, when you're grounded in your self-worth, people will naturally gravitate toward you. But if you're running around trying to light the way for everyone, you lose the very stability that makes you magnetic. Here's an actionable step. Create a daily mantra to remind yourself of your value. Say something simple but powerful, like, I am whole on my own. Repeat it whenever you feel tempted to seek validation or doubt your worth. When you validate yourself first, you become the kind of person who doesn't need to be chosen. You've already chosen yourself. Let's get real for a moment. Every time you accept less than you deserve, you're silently sending a message, not just to the world but to yourself, that your value is up for negotiation. Whether it's tolerating half-hearted effort, inconsistent behavior, or being someone's afterthought, you're essentially saying, I'll settle for whatever you're willing to give me. The problem? When you allow this, you're teaching others that they don't have to put in the effort. You're making it easy for them to undervalue you. But raising your standards isn't about being demanding or difficult. It's about self-respect. It's about knowing your worth and standing firm in it. When you set clear boundaries and communicate your expectations, you give others two options: step up or step out. And here's the truth. The right people, the ones who genuinely value you, will always step up. They won't see your standards as a challenge. They'll see them as a reflection of the value you bring. Let's make this actionable. Take a moment to create a personal value inventory, divided into two lists. 1. What do you bring to the table? Write down your strengths, qualities, and the value you add to any relationship. 2. What do you expect in return? Be specific. Respect, consistency, emotional support, or whatever aligns with your values. This exercise is more than just self-reflection. It's about being intentional about what you will and won't tolerate. Keep this inventory as a reminder whenever you feel tempted to compromise for someone who isn't meeting you halfway. Here's the empowering truth. The right people won't just meet your standards, they'll exceed them. Yes, it might mean losing people who were only comfortable giving you less, but that's not a loss. It's a gain, because you're creating space for those who truly value you. Remember, you're not here to convince anyone of your worth. You're here to show the world and yourself that you deserve nothing less than what aligns with the value you bring. Now let's explore how to build deeper, genuine connections. Let's be honest. Shallow, surface-level interactions won't take you far if your goal is to build lasting and meaningful bonds. Pretending to be someone you're not, overcompensating, or trying too hard to impress someone might get you noticed briefly, but it won't keep them around. Why? Because people can sense when something isn't real. Authenticity is the foundation of true emotional connections, and without it, you're only building a temporary facade that will eventually crumble. But let's clarify. Being authentic doesn't mean oversharing or putting all your vulnerabilities out there immediately. It means showing up as your real self, your strengths, your quirks, and even your imperfections. Vulnerability, when shared thoughtfully, creates trust and connection. People don't bond over perfection. They bond over shared humanity. Imagine this. One person spends the entire evening listing their accomplishments, trying to sound impressive. Meanwhile, someone else shares a personal story and asks, "What inspires you the most?" Which one feels more real and meaningful? It's the person who's unafraid to let their guard down and create space for a genuine connection. Here's a practical tip. Start by practicing active listening. Instead of focusing on what you'll say next, give your full attention to what the other person is sharing. Then ask meaningful questions like, what's something you're passionate about but rarely get to talk about? This not only makes the other person feel valued, but also opens the door to deeper, more engaging conversations. When you stop trying to be what you think others want and focus on creating real, meaningful interactions, you naturally stand out. Building genuine emotional connections isn't about impressing someone. It's about truly understanding them and allowing them to understand you. Let's get one thing straight. Independence and self-respect are not optional in a relationship. They are the foundation of any healthy and lasting connection. The moment you center your entire world around someone else, you lose sight of who you are. Your goals, passions, and sense of purpose fade into the background, leaving you dependent on their validation to feel complete. But here's the truth. People are naturally drawn to those who have their own lives, ambitions, and direction. Independence is magnetic because it reflects strength, confidence, and a solid sense of self-worth. Equally important is self-respect. You cannot expect others to respect you if you don't respect yourself first. Self-respect isn't just about saying no or setting boundaries. It's about how you carry yourself, how you value your time, and how you refuse to accept less than what you deserve. When you respect yourself, you set a standard for how others should treat you. And guess what? They'll rise to meet it. But maintaining independence doesn't mean shutting others out. It's about showing that you're complete on your own while still being open to meaningful connections. Independence is the ability to thrive as an individual while building relationships that add value to your life, not define it. Here's an actionable step. Create a me-time schedule to focus on your personal growth. Dedicate time each week to activities that fulfill and develop you, whether it's going to the gym, pursuing a hobby, reading a book, or learning a new skill. This time isn't selfish, it's essential. It keeps you connected to your individuality and reminds you of the goals that matter to you outside of any relationship. Think of yourself as a tree. A tree with deep roots of self-respect stands tall and unshaken, even in the fiercest storms. Its branches reach for the sky, but its stability comes from the strength of its foundation. The deeper your roots in independence and self-worth, the more grounded and resilient you become. Maintaining independence isn't about distancing yourself from others. It's about showing that you are whole on your own. When people see that you don't rely on them to feel complete, they'll admire and respect you even more. Independence and self-respect don't just make you attractive, they make you unstoppable. Now let's explore how these qualities help you avoid common relationship pitfalls. Even with the best intentions, it's surprisingly easy to fall into traps that sabotage your relationships. One of the most common mistakes people make is over-explaining themselves. Maybe you've been in a situation where you felt the need to justify your actions, your emotions, or even your worth. But here's the truth. When you over-explain, you're giving away your power. It makes you seem uncertain, as if you're seeking approval. True confidence is quiet. It doesn't need to explain itself. Another major pitfall is playing mind games, acting hot and cold, trying to make them jealous, or withholding affection to manipulate their attention. While these tactics might grab temporary interest, they're emotionally draining and ultimately erode trust and authenticity. A relationship built on manipulation is doomed to fail. And let's not forget acting overly needy, constantly seeking validation through frequent texts, calls, or grand gestures sends a loud message. Insecurity. It creates an imbalance in the relationship and often pushes people away. So how can you avoid these traps? Pause before acting. If you feel the urge to text or call unnecessarily, take a 10-minute walk instead. Use that time to reflect and ask yourself, is this action really necessary, or is it just my emotions talking? Communicate clearly. Replace manipulative tactics with honest, direct communication. For instance, instead of dropping hints or playing games, try saying something like, "This is what I need in a relationship. Are you able to meet me there?" Clear communication fosters respect and trust, and it eliminates unnecessary drama. Here's an important reminder. If you've made these mistakes before, don't worry. Recognizing them is the first step to change, and every step forward brings you closer to becoming your best self. Mistakes don't define you. They're opportunities to grow, learn, and refine how you approach relationships moving forward. Here's an affirmation to keep you grounded. I attract, not chase. Say it often and let it guide your actions. When you stop chasing after people, you create space for them to approach you willingly, not because they feel coerced or guilted into it, but because they truly value you. Avoiding these pitfalls isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional and showing up as your best self, authentic, confident, and secure. Relationships thrive when they're built on mutual respect, open communication, and healthy boundaries. Now let's bring everything together and explore how these steps lead to lasting transformation. And let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've covered today. We began by uncovering the behaviors that repel rather than attract: desperation, over-explaining, and chasing validation. Then we shifted the focus back to you, your growth, your independence, and your self-respect. We explored the power of Stoic detachment, the importance of raising your standards, building genuine emotional connections, and avoiding common relationship pitfalls. But here's the ultimate truth. It's never about making someone choose you. It's about becoming the kind of person who stands out effortlessly. When you prioritize your self-worth, set boundaries, and live authentically, The right people will naturally gravitate toward you. There's no need to chase or beg. Just show up as the best version of yourself, and your value will speak for itself. Now, I want to leave you with a challenge. Take some time tonight to reflect and write down these two things. One thing you'll stop tolerating in your life, whether it's inconsistent behavior, lack of respect, or anything that diminishes your value. One way you'll invest in yourself this week, maybe it's pursuing a new passion, setting firm boundaries, or dedicating time to your personal growth. And here's where I'd love to hear from you. Share your reflections in the comments below. Drop "I choose myself" if you're ready to take back control and step into your worth. Let's create a ripple effect of self-respect and confidence together. This isn't just about relationships. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. When you choose yourself, you're showing the world that your value isn't up for negotiation. And that kind of confidence, it's magnetic. Let's take this journey together. If this video resonated with you, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Until next time, remember, you are enough exactly as you are.